So here we are. This is our second stream together, but the first official Omnibros live.
That's right.
So we're pretty excited about this, yeah?
We pitched the name out there to the Facebook community for Omnibus Collectors and Hardcover Collectors, and this and another one seemed to be the overall, everybody loved it. I forgot what the other one was, but this seemed to be the one that a lot of people also really dug.
Yeah, I think this kind of works well, and in the future, we're looking to possibly have other YouTubers come on with us.
Right.
And since a lot of those YouTubers are on, the Omnibus Collector Facebook group, which is where we get Omnibro from, I figured it would kind of describe just an umbrella word to describe all of us. So it works out pretty well. But anyway, I hope everyone is doing great tonight. How are you doing, man?
I'm hanging in there, dude. I mean, I just got back. I haven't slept. I've slept probably 8 hours in the past 3 days.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I am dead freaking tired right now. Honestly, I'm going to finish this live stream. I made salad burgers tonight. I'm going to finish this live stream, and I'm going to hit the shower and then go to sleep. I'm exhausted right now.
That sounds like a pretty good idea. I'm probably going to do this, eat something, read a little bit, and then pass out because I didn't sleep too well last night. I was asleep for about 3 hours, and then I felt something on my face, and I went to go scratch it, and there was like a bug on my face. I just like instinctively threw it across the room, but I didn't want to wake my wife up, so I didn't say anything or make any noise. And I just sat there paranoid. Like every time I felt something, I just assumed it was another bug. And then after about 30 minutes of rolling around paranoid, I felt it again on my like hair. And I grabbed it and I was like, no, not again. And I threw it down, turned the lights on. I was like, hey, wake up. What the fuck do you want? There's a bug in my face. So I got totally paranoid after that. I changed all the sheets. I bathed my dog because
oh my gosh.
I found a flea, and then I took a shower myself and went back to bed.
Was this all at like 4 in the morning? Were you out on your back porch with your dog bathing at 4?
It was like from the hour like of 3 to 4 o'clock, and then I went back to bed and just like passed out, and then I woke up for work at 6:20. And I got in, and some of my coworkers were like, dude, are you okay? Because I looked like a zombie coming in, but I'm alive. I made it.
Yeah, definitely. I see somebody in the chat saying, thank God you didn't live in Australia. You're dead right now.
Yeah, that's definitely true. But yeah, here we are.
I mean, last night, man, I actually did Halloween Horror Nights last night. It was really fun because I get them for free because my girl works in, and it was preview night. For those of you that are wondering, the Walking Dead Horror Night, not worth it. The Walking Dead house was totally not worth it. I was so pissed because we waited about an hour to get into it, and it's literally they took everything from like the past 5 years and shoved it into that house, and that was it. They just whatever they fucking had lying in the back lot, they're like, yeah, let's just throw it in there. It's almost like they didn't put any effort into this season. I was so disappointed. But yeah, let's get this show on the road. Okay, for those we've actually got a format down for those of you that just started watching. We're working on a format to work things a lot better. So we're actually going to just dive into the news right now. Alan Moore, crazy old man Alan Moore.
He had a pretty, there was an article that popped up. Someone posted it on the Facebook group from CBR, Comic Book Resources, the other day, and he was saying some stuff about modern comics, which he is known to do. He's not a big fan of modern superhero comics.
I've got the article right here. Alan Moore at this point is kind of like your crazy grandfather that when you go to a reunion, everybody's just like, yeah, they humble him. They're like, oh yeah, you used to be great. You know, you fought in World War II, Grandpa. You were such a stud back then. But now, oh my God, you're sticking your junk in the punch. It's not cute anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I love the majority of his writing. And I can see some of where he's coming from with the things that he says, but he does come off as just, at this point, more of a crotchety old man than anything else.
Right.
But I mean, I feel like everyone's going to get to that point, so gotta kind of forgive him a little bit, I guess. But the current thing that he was complaining about, he's criticizing modern comics as the article says as unhealthy escapism. And there's, you know, a decent sized quote from him, but essentially it seems like he's kind of insulting the comics readership's like maturity, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's. I think it's kind of a slap in the face to a lot of people and a lot of things that how comics have matured. It kind of sounds like actually he hasn't read a comic or a modern day comic in like the past maybe 10 years, because comics have evolved a lot in just the past 10 years alone. I mean, you've had stories like Why the Last Man, you've had things like Ex Machina, hell, even Walking Dead have kind of transitioned comics to more of an adult medium. I mean, I'm personally not going to give a 3 or 10-year-old Why the Last Man. I'm not going to give him something like that. It's too much.
Yeah, I agree. And it does seem like he hasn't read much modern comics. I know right now he's talking mostly about superhero comics. But in the past, and more, because after we saw this article, I was kind of talking about other things that he said in the past. And one thing that really stuck in my mind was several years ago, actually around the time that Blackest Night had come out, he was saying a lot of similar things, putting down modern superhero comics, putting down modern comics in general.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that he said was basically, there's no top tier writers in comics now. And then on top of saying that, he then says there's not even middle tier or low tier comic writers now. Like he's just saying that there's no one worth anything writing comics at this point. And Jason Aaron rebutted that by basically writing an article that just said, you know, Alan Moore, go fuck off.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that.
You're one of my heroes. You're one of the people I've wanted to, you know, I've looked up to and wanted to be like in writing comics. And now you're basically telling me that I'm worthless as a comic writer, and my entire generation of contemporaries are also worthless. And I was like, geez, man. And I don't know if he really means it or if he's just upset about things and then says stuff he doesn't mean. I don't know, man.
Well, Alan Moore's been just bitter. I mean, and it's kind of sad, because if you watch like previous interviews of Alan Moore, because there's actually a wonderful little interview that they did with him around the time that he was first working on his legendary Swamp Thing run, and you could tell there was a glow in his eye. You could tell he was excited to write these characters. He was excited to write comics. He was hungry. That was a time when he was just kind of starting to come out into the scene. You know, he had done a few things here and there. He was really at a point in his life where he just had that spark. He really wanted to write. And it seems like over the years, I don't know, it's like it's died inside of him. And for him to go and insult just so many great writers out there, you know, you still have Grant Morrison, who's still kicking ass and still publishing some really great stuff. And he's been around not necessarily as long as Alan Moore, but he's one of those guys from the 80s when Alan Moore was huge.
Part of the British invasion.
Yeah, he's still publishing out. He's still kicking out some really badass stuff. Neil Gaiman's another guy. He just dropped Sandman Overture last year. It took him 2 years to finish it, but still, you know.
Yeah, and it was great.
I still haven't finished it.
It's a pretty good little story. Really good little coda to Sandman. But yeah, I think a lot of what turned Alan Moore grumpy, so to say, was his kind of really being fucked by DC on the Watchmen deal, because he didn't get to retain any sort of rights to that. And there's some specifics to it, but he really got messed up by that deal, and kind of it led him to not trust mainstream comic book publishers like DC and Marvel anymore. And that's why mostly he's putting down, I think that's why he's putting down like superheroes and stuff all the time, even though he still writes for like Avatar and stuff like that. Like he writes Crossed over there.
Oh God, Crossed.
I don't have anything to say about that because I haven't read it, but it doesn't look like it might be my cup of tea.
Yeah, I've heard mixed things.
And on a side right now, my wife is just walking in from work, so if she comes in and says something, I just want you guys to know what's going on. I'm actually going to get up for a second and close the door.
Oh, don't worry about it, man. Take your time.
We're doing our live stream, so I'm going to close the door, okay?
Ow! Has he been let out?
He sure has.
Which artist would I like to see on Swamp Thing? Sean Murphy.
Ooh, that would be really cool.
Yeah, somebody was just asking that. I jumped into the chat real quick. Sean Murphy would kick ass.
Yeah, that would be Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Can you imagine that scratchy pencil style, but just drawing like the swamp and the nature? Oh my goodness, that'd be so good.
And then Elijah DeCastro saying he can't get in the Facebook group. I don't recall us blocking anyone by your name. I'll look into it as soon as we finish this. If you want to request again, I'll see if we can get it in there. We just have a lot of requests like every day, and a lot to go through. But anyway, continuing about Alan Moore, another thing that I remember, another little interview, he was basically around the time of Blackest Night saying that everything that was going on in comics was based, well, I don't say that, everything about Blackest Night was based on something that he had written before. And he was referring to his 3 Green Lantern short stories, which focused on Sodom Yat, Mogo, and Ismalt, unless 2 of those were the same one. I don't remember. And basically, Jeff Johns utilized Ismalt as the planet where the Red Lanterns are. And like, it's like, okay, so you're claiming that Blackest Night is ripped off of your stuff and that you're responsible for what happened in the entirety of Jeff Johns' huge, like, epic War of Light, 10-year run or whatever. That's kind of a lot to say when all he's really using is just one planet that you use, just to kind of make it seem like his run is rooted in something more than just, his own ideas, pulling stuff out of his butt. Because to say that that Jeff Johns had no original ideas with that, to say that he had no original ideas with that is just kind of bunk, because he created like most of those characters,
Right, and it's interesting in the sense because Alan Moore has made a name off of other characters. Let's, the Watchmen or Charleston comics. Swamp Thing was an established comic. Superman. The list goes on from Hell. The list really goes on and on. He isn't really somebody that plagiarizes or anything like that. And the fact that it kind of pisses me off because he's criticizing people for using his characters and his quote-unquote characters when the fact is, dude, a lot of your stuff was stuff that was pre-established. You just were a great writer. You were very intelligent. You had a great concept, and you executed it extremely, extremely well. But for you to be calling all these other writers, and especially to call out Jeff Johns, for something you did for, 3 issues is what you said? In, 20, 30 years ago that nobody had used? And then he took that little chunk and he blossomed it into probably one of the greatest superhero epics of our modern run. That's kind of a bit like calling the kettle black. Yeah,
I definitely feel that. And he's done a lot of great stuff in comics. So there's obviously a lot of some people we try to separate the creator from the creation and stuff and enjoy what we've read from him, but still kind of, come on, man. Don't be so grumpy.
Don't be so grumpy.
It's not all bad.
It's not all bad. He just, in all seriousness, he just needs to just relax. Maybe, do a few incantations. Whatever. He's summoned the snake god Vishnu to talk to you. Whatever it is, man. Just fucking relax. There are worse things in the world. You've made a name for yourself for comics. You're what is he pushing? 60, 70 years old. Go out there, start your own ZZ Top cover band or whatever the hell you want to do, and just relax. I know he's actually got a book coming out pretty soon, and I'm kind of interested in what the hell that's going to be, but
Jerusalem, I believe.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think it just came out.
Did it? Oh, okay. Check that out.
I think it did. I saw people posting about it online in different places, and it's supposed to be a book about everything. So that's
a book on everything.
I don't know. That's what I've seen it described as.
Oh my god. Well, hey, if you spin it 3 times and you put it in oil and you light it on fire in your backyard, you might summon something. So you never know. It's Alan Moore. Also in the news, the DC Spring 2017 catalog has dropped. Now, I know it dropped, I think, a few weeks ago. What are some picks from that? Have you gotten a chance to look at it yet?
I'm looking right now. There's a lot of just releases, regular releases of currently ongoing stuff. Of course, all the Rebirth series are getting releases. And right now, it looks like most, if not all of the Rebirth ongoing series are just being put into paperback, which I found a little bit interesting. There's no hardcovers, like Batman's not hardcover, Detective Comics isn't hardcover. It doesn't even look like Justice League is hardcover. They're all, even the biggest name ones, are all going to be paperback first.
I wonder why they're doing that. That's kind of an interesting choice.
It is interesting, and I think I saw someone guess that maybe it's because they're gonna follow Marvel's kind of process of releasing several paperbacks and then an oversized hardcover. But Marvel still does hardcovers and then an oversized one. But we'll see. I guess we'll just find out in the future what they're gonna do.
Right. I mean, there was a few gems in there that I thought were pretty interesting. We're getting our Absolute Preacher Volume 2, so I'm very happy about that.
That was the first beautiful freaking book.
Oh, absolutely. I did a review on that, and man, it was, when I pulled it out of the box, I was like, oh my gosh, this looks amazing. Oh.
I was like, I feel like I need this on a podium in front of a church. It looks so nice.
Oh my god. I wanted to have its own stand with like a giant light shining on it, and it's rotating. So when people walk into the house, they see it.
Oh, man. Speaking of absolutes, there's also the first absolute for Brian Azzarello and Cliff Chang's Wonder Woman, which looks to be collecting the first half of that run.
Mm-hmm.
So about 18 issues or so for $125. I'm pretty pumped about that because that was probably my favorite thing to come out of DC Rebirth. Or sorry, DC New 52.
I liked it. I actually really like Brian Azzarello's run on Wonder Woman, and Cliff Chang's art is beautiful in that run.
Yeah.
It's stunning stuff, honestly. The way he draws the different gods, like Hades, I love his concept of Hades with like the candle and everything. Oh, fantastic stuff. How do you feel about the price? Do you think it's pretty fair? I mean, it's 18 issues. I think it's in the range.
Yeah,
for the most part.
For an absolute edition, I think that falls around the right place, and it's Preacher was a little more. Was it the same price or was it a little more?
Preacher was the same price, I'm pretty sure.
If it's the same price, then we're getting more bang for our buck there. But
yeah, but that's Vertigo, and this is DC.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they're still under the same umbrella, but I'm pretty sure it's different departments that work on this type of stuff.
Yeah, they do treat them very differently at the very least.
Yeah, and I'm hoping to see we get more Vertigo absolutes. Hint, DC. Like we mentioned last week, where the hell is my Swamp Thing Absolute Edition from Alan Moore? Still waiting on it.
Dreams right there. About that.
Yeah. The day it's released, you will not find me because chances are I will be making sweet, sweet love to that book.
Yeah, don't live stream that.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm just gonna warn you right now. I'm gonna set some candles aside. We'll set a little wine, play some Barry White in the background, and it's gonna get weird. I'm warning you right now.
All right, what else do we have coming out in this catalog? I'm just looking at a couple things. There's Kid Eternity Book 1. Looks like they're doing the ongoing series for that. I've never read any of that except for Morrison's 3-issue mini.
They're releasing the Darwin Cook Deluxe edition for Batman Ego, like another edition of it.
Yeah.
I think there's already like 2 or 3 of those out, isn't there?
And it has his other material, a lot of his other Batman material on there as well. So that might be pretty cool, even for people who might have some of those stories in like, I think I have some of those in like the Catwoman trades that came out a few years back.
Right.
But Darwin Cook on oversized pages, always beautiful and always good to support,
absolutely.
artists like that. And then, rest in peace, Darwin Cook, obviously. Another one that caught my eye is Justice League Breakdowns, Book 1, by Keith Giffen. This is part of the, I think it'll be like the first out of 2 volumes, collecting the back end of Keith Giffen and company's run on Justice League International, the Bwahaha era, as they like to call it.
The Bwahaha era? Wait,
yeah,
what?
It's the Bwahaha era because you'd have like Booster Gold and Blue Beetle would always be joking around and stuff, and that's their sound effect was the Bwahaha, was the way that they would laugh. So that's what a lot of people will lovingly call it, as the Bwahaha era. But unfortunately, this Bwahaha era has not been completely collected. They stopped after 6 paperbacks a while back. It's been years since we saw 6 come out. So this is the first release in years since that one, and there's still a gap of, I think, somewhere around 24 issues between Volume 6 and Breakdowns. So hopefully we see a couple books collecting that material somewhere, just to have all of that in solid collected editions. That would be amazing.
Oh, shit. I didn't know there was that much missing out of it.
Yeah, it's a pretty decent sized run.
I didn't even know that. Well, I've never read that run before.
It's pretty good. It's really a really nice humorous take on the Justice League. And that's where you get the Batman knocking out Guy Gardner in one punch issue.
Oh, yeah. A classic. There's also the Bronze Age Swamp Thing omnibus that is coming out soon, man.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking forward to that. That's I think they were going to do a second Roots of the Swamp Thing volume, and I don't know if that got scrapped, but this book is going to collect what would have been in the second and the first one, just the entire first volume of Swamp Thing.
Right, and for those of you that are wondering out there, what this is that it collects the beginning of Swamp Thing. This is actually before Alan Moore's run. This is right before Alan Moore started his run. It's Bernie Wrightson and I'm blanking on the other name. Len Wein, yes. Bernie Wrightson and Len Wein, the original creators of Swamp Thing. So if you ever wanted to see where Swamp Thing started out, this is the omnibus you want to get. You definitely want to pick this up. I personally have never read this material, although I've heard pretty good things. It's obviously not as great and grand as what Alan Moore did, and what Alan Moore did with the character, because he did take some liberties and he refined the character in certain ways. But it's still classic stuff. And if you're interested in finding out where Swamp Thing started, where Alec Holland and all that stuff got started, it's definitely worth the pickup. I'm definitely going to pick it up on day one, just because I'm curious.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the character, and I think, you know, it's going to be great to have that. And that book itself is almost going to encompass everything that came before Moore's run. And I'm really curious to read that material. I like Len Wein as a writer. He's done a lot of great stuff, and he wrote a recent Swamp Thing miniseries at DC that was actually a pretty good little mini with Kelly Jones on art. So reading his take on Swamp Thing there made me, you know, really want to read that old stuff. And I know it's a little bit more horror oriented, if I recall what people have said correctly. So it's going to be fun to look at.
Right, and I've wanted I've been working on a video actually on how to start reading Swamp Thing, and I'm surprised actually he's had a few good runs by some prolific writers out there, but apparently nothing seems to stick for some reason.
Yeah, I most recently collected was Mark Miller's run, and however you feel about Mark Miller, it was actually a pretty good run, and it didn't read like modern Mark Miller stuff. It reads very differently. It's very cool concepts that are actually carried over into some of the future runs, especially some of those concepts were used in Charles Soule's New 52 run on Swamp Thing. So
that was a great run. Charles Soule, oof, man, you want to talk about a great follow-up. Where I think Scott Snyder floundered a little bit, Charles Soule picked up the ball with that and ran with it, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Such a great run. Oh, my gosh.
Actually got to I met Charles Soule a while back at a local shop here while he was still writing it, and I had him sign my first issue of his run, and I told him, like, man, your run so far has been my favorite Swamp Thing run next to Alan Moore's, and he just looked at me and was like, that's probably the best compliment anyone's given me. He's like, dude, I'm serious, though.
I've actually heard that if you ever meet Charles Soule, he's a really kick-ass dude. Like, he's a real cool guy to actually hang out with and grab a beer and stuff like that. He's actually a full-time lawyer. Somehow he's able to keep his law firm open and write like 10 books at the same time.
And he's also in a band.
What?
Yeah, he plays guitar.
You're kidding.
No, he writes everything. He's a lawyer and he's in a band. So he does everything.
How the fuck does he find time for this?
I don't know. He just puts it all together and just finds time to do everything. It's crazy. I don't know.
He doesn't sleep. He must not sleep. In all seriousness.
Probably not. He probably has nights like we've had these past few days. 8 hours after 8 hours within the last 3 days.
I mean, as far as the catalog, there's nothing else that really caught my fancy. I mean, we're finally another American Vampire volume is coming out. Finally,
there's a Bronze Age Justice League of America that apparently has Denny O'Neil writing some of the material. That might be worth checking out. I've never read any of that material though.
Zatanna by Paul Dini. That would be pretty good to pick up.
Oh yeah, yeah. Anything by Paul Dini, really.
Oh man, did you get to read Batman the Paul Dini story that came out? I'm blanking on the name again.
I haven't read it yet. I've been meaning the Dark Knight.
Yes.
Blue Batman story. I have it on my shelf. I actually, like, this is kind of dumb, but I forgot I had it, and I was putting away some books, and I was like, oh shit, I never read this. And so I really want to sit down and just churn it out in one sitting, hopefully over the weekend or something.
Dude, you really owe it to yourself to sit down with it. It's right now. It's currently my book of the year. That is my top choice for probably the best thing that I've read this year. It's incredibly well done. I absolutely loved it.
I'm looking forward to it then. I found a hardcover of a Rebirth. It's Batman Night of the Monster Men, which is a crossover between a couple of the Batman books.
Really?
Yeah, so that one's going to be in hardcover.
Okay. Huh.
And then another one that I thought was interesting was Batman by Brian K. Vaughan. This one I just wanted to mention because I think I had mentioned elsewhere that this was looking to be a deluxe edition, but it's not. It's a paperback.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to say that real quick so I can shout out to Mitch, one of my buddies and one of my admins for the Facebook group, because I told him it was going to be a deluxe edition. He was upset because it wouldn't line up with all his paperbacks. Good news, bud. It's a paperback. It's going to line up.
Somewhere right now, Mitch is doing like a happy dance, like "fuck yes!" Paperbacks.
And I'm gonna if he's not watching right now, I'm gonna tell him that I mentioned it in the video, and he's gonna have to watch the whole live stream just to find where I mentioned it. Where I talked about it.
Oh, you're gonna make him go like an hour deep into this so he can find it. It's like he mentioned it somewhere, that bastard. Oh look,
And then
Red Hood and the Outlaws, Volume 1 by Scott Lobdell. Who's gonna read that?
Oh, great.
Oh my
There's a third Batman Golden Age omnibus, so they're moving pretty quickly with those.
Yeah, they are. And for those of you out there, if you ever want something to line your fireplace, I recommend Red Hood and the Outlaws by Scott Lobdell. It releases the most pungent odor during Christmas.
God, I read I think the first issue of the first series when it hit, and I could not take the characterization of Starfire at all.
Oh, you want to talk about a bastardization of a character? They did that character so wrong, man. Just horrible what they did to her. They over-sexualized her. Like, she must have sex with every single character because on her planet it's normal. Get the fuck out of here with that shit.
Yeah, I'm not about that. I'm sorry.
I honestly think the only reason Scott Lobdell is working at DC anymore is because he's probably good friends with Jim Lee. That's my take on it.
That's actually a good point. That's probably true.
God, I can't
Or at
believe
least partially true.
Can't believe that guy still gets work.
Here's a couple of interesting Batman solicits again. There's the Nightfall Omnibus Volume 1. We've kind of known about that for a little while. I'm guessing that's going to be the first half of Nightfall, and I think it's collecting a couple of things that are not in those huge paperbacks that came out. So if you'd rather have it in an oversized hardcover, you're going to get that Nightfall Omnibus coming out. And
I'm
the
actually
second...
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm actually going to pick that up. I'm excited for that.
I might go ahead and trade up for that because I really like the first part of Nightfall, especially like leading up to the breaking of the bat. That was a great story.
Yes, same. I think after that though, I just really lost interest in what was going on. I was like, I don't want to read about Azrael, taking over the bat suit. No, that sounds horrible.
And then also we've got another big paperback coming out, Batman Legacy, and that's going to fill in a chunk, I believe, between Nightfall and what was it? Contagion, I think was the one. Yeah, it's going to fill in a good chunk of material there. So collectors of Batman trades, Mitch, I'm talking to you again. And anyone who has seen I post like my list, my collected edition list of Batman stuff from Nightfall all the way to current. That's going to be another good paperback to collect on your shelves. That's going to be a good one to have.
Definitely. But for the most part, I really don't see anything else that I would point out. I think we covered most of it.
Yeah, there's just a few things every here and there, regular things. Another Fables Deluxe edition. first volumes of a lot of stuff.
Yeah, All-Star Batman from Scott Snyder. If you're not reading that, it's actually not bad. It's 2 issues and it's pretty good.
I haven't read the second issue yet.
First one was pretty good. It wasn't bad. I do miss.
I did really like the first one, so I'm looking forward to reading the second one.
I do miss Papi Capullo on the art, though. I gotta be honest.
Yeah.
Doesn't John Romita Jr. does not hold a candle right now to what Capullo was doing on that book, but
Capullo was beautiful on there.
Yeah, he's working with Mark Millar right now. So I gotta ask you, what are you buying right now, dude? What did you buy this week?
This week, I placed an order. I wasn't gonna order anything this week, but I had a couple of days off, and that's dangerous for me. So I went ahead and I was watching a bunch of anime because when my wife's around, she hates anime. She doesn't like me watching because she's like, it's so annoying. So sorry. But when she's gone, I can play around. I was watching anime and I decided to watch My Hero Academia, which was a series that came out. Its first season wrapped up. It was only 13 episodes. And I watched that entire series in my 2 days off. And it was so much fun that I decided I needed to buy the manga, and I ordered all 5 of the current volumes that are out in America. And as well, to round out my in-stock trades order, I got a couple of new releases. The 6th volume of Mike Grell's Green Arrow run, and I also got that Punisher by Carl Potts and Jim Lee that just came out this week.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I'm looking forward to those.
I haven't picked up anything. Honestly, money's been kind of tight, like I said, because we're planning to move and everything. But my boy, Shang-Chi, I'm about to shed a tear, man.
It's got that TBD release date, and I'm hoping that it's just, I'm like 99% sure that it's not canceled because they've already solicited in the catalogs the 3rd volume and Deadly Hands of Kung Fu Volume 1. So I'm not too worried. I think it probably had a printing error, and they're just sending it back to get fixed before sending it out to shops and stuff, and that's why they don't have a release date.
Right.
But, fingers crossed. Hopefully I'm right and it comes out. But even more, I hope it comes out on a week that's going to be good to our wallets.
What's coming out next week? Absolute Transmetropolitan Volume 2. No, Absolute Y, my mistake. Absolute Y, The Last Man Volume 2. Doctor Strange Omnibus, the classic one. And maybe Shang-Chi. And that doesn't include like all the other smaller books that are coming out, like Lock and Key, the Master Edition Volume 3.
And that one's been being pushed back a lot too.
Has it?
Yeah, it was supposed to come out in August. They actually had an advertisement in a paper or something that I saw that it was supposed to hit shelves in August, and it said collect the whole series in 3 paperbacks in August, or 3 hardcovers in August, and it never came out. So,
oh damn, that sucks.
Yeah, that one I'm in the same boat on that one as you are with Shang-Chi. I'm just waiting for it to actually happen.
Have you finished the series before, like in trades or the hardcovers that came out before?
I have not. I've been waiting to collect the whole thing before I dive in and just read the whole thing at once.
Oh my god. I'm telling you, fantastic ending. Nails it. Absolutely crushes the ending. Incredible stuff.
I'm super excited.
You will not be disappointed. I wasn't disappointed. I thought paced perfectly. He had a plan from the beginning and execution perfectly. And how he ends it is so great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you're really gonna enjoy that. But yeah, I mean, I was a little bit disappointed when 2:30 rolled around. I was like, all right, Shang-Chi, in stock trades. Wait, what the fuck is going on? Where is it? Okay,
Shang,
Shang, where are you? Oh my god, I was so pissed. But I mean, I guess we'll have to wait and see. The thing is, I'm a little bit weary because, like you said, it's got the dreaded TBD. Now, for those of you that are out there that are watching this and you've never had to deal with the dreaded TBD when you've had a release date on a book, it can mean one of a few things. It can mean the book, like you said, was pushed back, had a printing error, something went wrong, yada, 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 whatever. Or it can mean that it's in limbo hell and, it might come out next year or it might come out this year. Or the worst case scenario, not coming out at all. It got the axe.
No.
Yeah. I really, they can't. They've been hyping this up for so long.
Yeah. And this is like it's a huge like kind of pet project for I think it's Corey Settlemeyer is the editor that's on these books. It's a huge pet project for him that he was talking about since like a year ago about how excited he was, and it was all mapped out and it's all planned out and he has all the releases ready.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, putting all this work into it. So I've been really hyped up about it since then.
Same. And I can't see them canceling it, especially with them having Deadly Hands of Kung Fu coming out in the same year as well. And those books, in some way, they go well with each other. It wouldn't make sense to cancel one and not cancel the other.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. So with that said, you reading anything else? Anything in particular that you got your eye on right now?
Well, currently, kind of the same as last week's live stream. I'm still reading the Pokemon manga, but I've moved up a volume. I'm on volume 4 now.
Okay.
And volume 3 concluded the story with red, blue, and green, and now this one is starting the story with yellow. And I haven't dug in yet because I've been focusing more on One Piece again. I jumped back into kind of trying to just wrap that up and read everything of that series. I'm about 70 chapters behind right now. I'm excited to catch up because I've been reading that for years, and I fell behind. I stopped reading about 5 years ago for no particular reason, and then all of a sudden I was just like, I need to catch up. I need to do it. So I'm doing that right now. And otherwise, I bought a copy of the novel Dune, and I've been trying to start reading that at work.
How is that?
I've read about 2 pages. So
Oh, all right. Hey.
Don't know yet. I was reading it on my break, and then I decided that it was hot, and I didn't want to read anymore. So
that's a good lesson.
Stopped.
You know, before you pass out, you know, outside, and everybody's like, "Oh, there goes that Riley guy again. He passed out in the porch."
Just reading his books in the heat.
He's crazy. Somebody go get him. I mean, right now.
What are you reading?
Right now, I'm currently reading the Goon Library editions. I'm going through that. Really good stuff, really fun stuff. It's kind of interesting to see Eric Powell's art style and how it changes over the years, because he used to start out with really cartoony pencils and things like that. Now he's got kind of a watercolor style. So it's really good stuff. I'm really enjoying it. I'm reading that. I've gotten through about half of Shang-Chi Volume 1. Awesome. Needless to say, it's really awesome. He fights an alligator. And no, not an alligator. He pulls a Batman and he fights a shark. Like, there's a panel that is absolutely the best thing I think I've read all year. He karate chops a shark into submission underwater. It is amazing. It is so good. It's like, fuck Batman and his bat repellent. Shang-Chi karate chops a shark underwater with his bare hands, and he takes on Man-Thing. Oh my god, it's such a fun series. A bit racist, though. A little bit racist. Yeah, it's a bit racist, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like, a lot of the villains call him Slant Eyes, Yellow Face.
Oh no!
Oh my god! All right.
Oh man,
it's shit you cannot get away with today. And all you cannot get away with calling Shang-Chi Slant Eyes. Can you imagine Punisher strolling up to him and go, Slant Eyes, move the hell over?
That would be awful. That's horrible.
But other than that, dude, I'm not. I haven't been reading much else. I've been super busy, like I said. It's just been a crazy-ass week. So if you're cool with it, I think after this, right now, we're going to open it up for questions for the fans. We've been talking for a while now.
Yeah, sure. Let's do it. We got about 15 minutes left that we're filming, I guess. So 15 minutes worth of questions.
I mean, if you don't mind, we can go a little bit longer, too.
Go a little longer.
Let's see. How does Riley move his books from house to house? This is actually one that I wanted to ask you, because you have way more stuff than I do. Do you get like a forklift? Do you hire a moving company?
Okay, so the last 2 times that I've moved, I did actually hire a moving company, but I didn't entirely trust them to pack my books.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried to pack them all before the moving company actually came in and did anything. And then I let them move the boxes, and I just, marked them as fragile. And usually I'm there. This last time I was working while they were moving the stuff, so I just asked my wife to make sure. Very minimal damage to the books each of the times I did this. But the first time, I didn't have everything packed up at first, and this guy just took a giant fucking box, like this type of box that you'd expect like an old fat TV in, just a huge square. And he just piled them in there, just stacks and stacks and stacks. And luckily there was very, very minimal damage to things that were just pressing on each other. But I was like, dude, I don't know how you expect to get that out of here, because those books, even like a small box winds up 50 pounds. That box is going to be like, a fucking ton.
Right.
And I don't know. They got it over to the other apartment that time. I don't know how, but they did it. But yeah, I would recommend, if you're not hiring a moving company, the first 2 times that I moved all my stuff myself, I packed them into smaller boxes, like I don't know, like the small boxes that you'll get from U-Haul.
Yeah.
And they hold a decent amount of books, and just use a fuck ton of those. Because you don't want to throw your back out trying to lift something that's too heavy. I'm not that strong, so 50 pounds is a pretty good weight. Plus, you're going to be moving so many of those around that your arms are going to get tired no matter how strong you are. Your legs are going to get tired, and you're going to start sweating.
Yeah.
And the paperbacks can be heavier than the hardcovers. I'll just put that out there.
Yeah, and the thing is, because you think, oh, it's no big deal. I'll throw like 10 or 12 paperbacks inside of this box. It's fine. I'll be able to lift it. Then all of a sudden, clack, your back goes out trying to lift it.
Yeah, no, it's not easy. But those are my moving tips for all y'all.
Riley's Moving Company. He'll move your books for a good price.
But it'll be undercover.
That's the important thing. Hey, we've got a startup. We have got a business startup going on. What is my favorite documentary on a subject you have ever watched? Question for both guys. For me, it's Jodorowsky's Dune.
Oh, man, that was an awesome one.
Oh, brilliant. Absolutely fucking brilliant documentary. Absolutely.
That's why I'm reading Dune right now.
Is it really?
Yeah, because I was like, that looked awesome. I want to see what... I want to read this book and see what inspired him to want to make that movie that never got made.
Oh my God. And we talked about this last week on the stream, and how he had all these different concepts and how he had all these different ideas, and basically how it was kind of like Star Wars. Was it before Star Wars? I can't remember exactly. Or was it like pretty close to Star Wars at the time?
I think it was coming out before.
I want to say it was before Star Wars.
I do too. We might be wrong, but if we're wrong, just forgive us.
Comic book fans out there, Jack Kirby actually did a lot of the design work for that movie.
And there was also, he got Mobius, I think, was involved in some of it.
Was it Mobius?
I believe Mobius did draw some of the character designs. And H.R. Giger, who did work on, like, Alien, he was also involved.
Oh, my God. Yeah. It's been a while since I've seen that documentary, but... absolutely stellar documentary. If you guys get a chance, I really do recommend you check that one out. What about you?
If I didn't say that one, it would be Talking with Gods, the Grant Morrison documentary.
Ooh, yeah, good one.
That one is so good.
Yeah.
Because it really, like, I watched it already loving Grant Morrison, but it made me love him more. And I think that you said this a few days ago. I think we were just talking on Facebook or something about how Morrison is so happy. Like, he's such a positive guy in comics, and like he's not crotchety at all like Moore is about current stuff. He loves making comics. He loves people who read comics, and that's something that really comes out in this movie in the way that he's talking about stuff. But especially, there's one scene in there that was talking about how he reacted to people not really digging Final Crisis when it was coming out. And he just sounded so defeated, because he's like, I just want people to love comics. And I was like, man, you get it.
No, yeah, he's definitely somebody that we keep coming back to the same thing. And he's definitely somebody that isn't like Alan Moore. He's probably like close to 30 years into the business, and he's still hungry. He still wants to write great stories. He still wants to put out quality material, and he still wants to share his love for comics. I mean, people don't remember All-Star Superman, one of the probably greatest Superman stories of all time, and in my eyes, the greatest Superman story of all time, came out only probably like, what, 10, 8, 7 years ago, something like that. It's a very recent story.
Book. But yeah, he's great, and it shines through, and you can tell he's still like someone who, no matter how much he's experimented with the medium in the past, he's ready to go further and experiment more and more and more. And he's not done. And everything that comes out of his, I just eat up. And maybe I don't love it. Maybe I don't even like some of the stuff that he does. But I'm always appreciating what he puts out there, and I'm always going to take it in and check it out, you know?
Exactly. For me, like, going back to Morrison, for me, he's written the best Shazam story in probably, like, the past 5 years. Did you read the Multiversity Shazam issue?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
God, I wanted so much more of that. I was like, just give Morrison a Shazam run, please.
There was several issues of that series where I was like, holy crap, this just needs to be an ongoing series now.
Right. Yeah. Morrison on Shazam, I was like, this is a match made in heaven. He understood the character. He understood the family. Just crushed it. Absolutely crushed it. And his take on the Watchmen that he did with Frank Quietly in that series. Oh, my gosh. Brilliant. Yeah. Brilliant stuff. It's just on another level. Do we think Marvel will reprint Alias? I think so.
Yeah, it's very, very likely that they'll put it out there, especially because they've already said they're going to do a second Jessica Jones season.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing another Jessica Jones ongoing series with the original team attached.
Are they really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to start pretty soon.
Yeah, Jessica Jones got a second season. Luke Cage starts in like 2 weeks. I think it is. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, but I've been taking questions. Go ahead, dude. Pick something out.
Let's see. I think someone asked earlier if I'm enjoying the current X-Men books. Obviously, a lot of people are probably asking that because I've been very vocal about how huge of an X-Men fan I am, and I have all these X books over my shoulder. The current X-Men books, overall, yes, I enjoy them. And they're not the strongest X-Men books, and there's not as many of them out there, but I really kind of appreciate the way that they're focusing more with the X-Men books rather than having like they have a half a dozen books out there now rather than having like a dozen or more out there, and you just have too many things going on everywhere, too many characters appearing in too many books. And they've really limited the number of characters because right now we don't have Cyclops, we don't have Wolverine. Well, we have Old Man Logan, and we have Laura Kinney as Wolverine, but we don't have the original Wolverine.
All right, he's still dead.
Like all these characters are gone right now, and you're seeing the X-Men universe kind of surviving without their biggest stars, which is really, really interesting to see. And we know comics are cyclical, so we're going to see them coming back pretty soon. But in the meantime, I think it's just enjoyable to see how it works without those books. I would say out of all the books, I think, like I said, there's a dozen or so out there right now. Old Man Logan is probably the most quality out of all of them. Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic freaking series with amazing artwork.
Yeah, I haven't read anything current as far as X-Men goes.
I would recommend that one if you just want to grab something. And then All New Wolverine is also super good because it's just a really fun book. And if you're a fan of Laura Kinney, it really evolves her character. And you can see, like, she's grown so much as a character since her earlier days in, like, her solo stuff and on X-Force and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The story, underline this, the story in Uncanny X-Men is fantastic, but Greg Land has been attached to most of the artwork there. So maybe we can get that one as a books on tape or something. I don't know.
Morgan Freeman narrating every panel.
But it's such a cool story. Like, Cullen Bunn is doing awesome work on that book, and I totally recommend it if you can ignore Greg Land's art, or if you're just if you enjoy the younger characters, the time-displaced X-Men from Bendis's run.
I did.
Dennis Hopeless is doing a really cool series on all new X-Men right now.
Okay.
He's doing really cool work with them and kind of giving them a new place in there and kind of delving into their individual characters and separating them from their older counterparts more so than Bendis did, I think. So that's a really good run.
Yeah, that was Bendis's run was something that started off so strong for me, but then it slowly went. I started losing interest.
He doesn't maintain a focus. He doesn't maintain a total focus. Like, there's not a big payoff at the end of his runs on a lot of stuff that he does. And on this one, like, he had a lot of good single issues and small arcs here and there, but when you look at it as a whole, he didn't really do much. Like, he didn't conclude it by giving some huge storyline. He just kind of, it happened. Yeah. And now we're in the next story.
Yeah.
think the only other X-Men series I haven't mentioned, aside from the Deadpool stuff, which I don't need to mention because it's the same creators that were working on it before, is Extraordinary X-Men, which is supposed to be the main X-Men book. Humberto Ramos has been on the art for the first arc. I know a lot of people are not that big of a fan of his. I'm kind of ambivalent towards him. I think he's good sometimes. I think he's okay, sometimes. That one's been pretty good if you don't mind the whole X-Men Inhumans thing, which is going to be cool because it's leading into Charles Soule and Jeff Lemire's 2 miniseries that they're doing, The Death of X, which is going to tell us what happened immediately after Secret Wars.
Right, because that's still a mystery. What happened?
Yeah, we don't know what happened to Cyclops, but we're going to find out what he did and what happened to him. And then it's going to lead into the X-Men versus Inhumans miniseries, which is going to be like the big battle between the 2 groups, which is something that's obviously been being led towards.
Okay.
That's kind of an outline of all the X-Men stuff right now. I just thought I'd throw that all out there and give people a little bit of opinion on each of those.
You have basically just cataloged every single X-Men story that Marvel has pushed out in probably like the last 2 years in like the span of 5 minutes. Great job, man. I gotta hand it to you. Yeah. Now, if you could only do that with Cable's origin, I would stand up and applaud you.
Yeah, no.
There's no way in hell. God, you want to talk about convoluted? Somebody was asking, and they were really trying to ask for this. Where do we start with Jonathan Hickman's Avengers run? Do we start with Fantastic Four, or do we jump into Avengers and New Avengers? I'm of the opinion, to get the most out of it, you got to start with FF. You have to start with this Fantastic Four stuff because it ties in pretty well into what he did in Avengers.
Oh, definitely, because he uses, the Fantastic Four are very prevalent in Avengers and New Avengers. And then, especially in Secret Wars, they play a major part in that. I honestly wouldn't recommend reading his Avengers stuff without the FF and Fantastic Four stuff. Even though they're kind of getting hard to find. But it's a freaking amazing story anyway.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's I dropped off somewhere in like the 40s, like late into the run before Secret Wars because I just didn't really get any interest in it. But then I hopped back on when Secret Wars came out. And man, you want to talk about payoff. Hickman does what Hickman always does. Takes his sweet-ass time to build up a story, but eventually the payoff, 9 times out of 10, it's worth it. It's really good. He just takes a long time to get there.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of a long time, we still haven't seen the last 2 issues of his second S.H.I.E.L.D. miniseries.
Jesus. And they're done. He has said they are done on Twitter, but who knows? They're done.
I think Dustin Weaver is still working on some of the artwork. I don't know what's going on. They've teased it so many times. It's kind of annoying. But on that note, do you think you would recommend people to also read his Secret Warriors run as part of this?
Oh, yeah. Secret Warriors is so good. I mean, it's really good. It like all of his work takes a long time to get there, but man, and he likes a lot of graphs. He does a lot of little circles and graphs inside there.
Yeah, he's a graphic designer for sure. He designs all those like splash pages and stuff that you'll see in those pages with the like iconography on there. He designs all that stuff himself, and he likes to have that kind of always has those really simplistic splash pages, entry pages into issues and stuff that makes everything feel really epic, you know?
Yeah. It's a neat technique that he uses because he uses the design to kind of give you information and tell you, okay, this, like in his Avengers run, this is with this team, this person's with this team, like Hulk is with this group, Spider-Man is with this group, and it kind of in a way broadens the scope, and you go, oh wow, this team really is big. It's a huge group of people, and they had to break it up into different teams.
Oh yeah.
As a side note, I think he would be awesome to write a New God story.
I think that he would be really great, if not doing Justice League, like to kind of reinvigorate that book for DC after Johns' run ended. He could do a pretty kick-ass Green Lantern.
Oh, I think so too. I think he could. I think, didn't he tease on his Twitter before that he was working on a Justice League story or something like that? I've heard things.
Like a couple months ago that kind of hinted he was working on something for DC. I think someone asked him about if he was doing something or if he was doing something for DC, and he said something that really, really teased it. Really, really hinted that he was asked. At the very least, he was asked. That's what it was. Like they've approached him.
Huh. And if you guys ever want to listen to a good interview with Hickman, I recommend you listen to the 11 O'Clock Comics podcast. They did an interview with him probably like, I want to say about a year ago. Really, really great interview. They just shoot this shit with the guy for like 2 hours, and it was awesome. It was really awesome to pick his brain for that long.
I need to check that out.
Yeah, it's really good.
I see one that I actually saw from last week, a question we didn't get to answer, our opinions on Duke Thomas.
I like him. I mean, I like him. I mean, he hasn't. It's I haven't read much of him. He had a big part in that Robin arc, correct? That was big a few like last year or something like that.
That We Are Robin series.
Yeah. But overall, I haven't read much of Duke Thomas, mainly because of the fact that it was New 52 DC at the time, and New 52 DC for the most part for me was a no-go.
The Pooh 52, more like it.
Thoughts on the wait? Dredd's getting a Netflix series?
Yeah, is that for real?
Because I love the Dredd movie. Is that true? I would love a Dredd Netflix.
That would be awesome. If it's with Carl Urban reprising the role, that would be freaking dope.
Yeah, that would be great, man.
Duke Thomas, though, for me, like I dig him too. I just think we haven't seen enough of him, and it looks like Snyder's cooking something up with him in his All-Star series. So I'm really just at this point just really looking forward to seeing what Snyder's going to do with him, because that's kind of going to set in motion, I think, where Duke is going to go from here. Like what character he's going to be, what he's going to be doing in the Batman family.
Mm-hmm. Does Luke Cage have his own series? And if not, should he get one? I don't think currently Luke Cage doesn't have his own series, but what I do recommend that you do check out is the Power Man and Iron Fist series at Marvel. It's one of the few Marvel Now books that I'm reading right now, and it's so much fun, man. Oh man, it's a blast to read. It's funny, it's entertaining. Haven't been crazy about the Civil War II tie-ins, but it is what it is. But it's such a fun series to read right now.
And have you seen the upcoming Cage miniseries they're doing?
Yes.
With Todorowsky or whatever?
Oh, God, I can't wait. I cannot wait, man. Have you seen that they're bringing back Samurai Jack?
Again? Oh, for the cartoon.
Yeah, for the cartoon, dude.
Oh, yeah, I did see that.
Oh, it looks so badass. It's like set 40 years in the future, and it's on Adult Swim. I can't wait. I cannot wait, man. It's going to be so good.
Oh, yeah. And there's the recent comic that was, I believe, by Jim Zub. I think a complete hardcover edition is coming out next month.
I think it came out this week.
If it did, I did not see it.
Is it? I think it's either this week or next week. I can't remember.
Well, it's coming out.
Yeah,
it's a thing. And it's a pretty freaking good series if you're a fan of Samurai Jack. So I would recommend that. And I definitely am looking forward to the Luke Cage mini, because that's something that Gendy was working on actually years and years and years back, and it kind of got canceled.
Yeah.
And now they're just reviving it and finally publishing it. So it's one of those cool like cutting room floor things that we're finally getting to see come to life.
Oh, hold on. My battery's dying, so I got to go run and get a charger. You can jump to a question real quick. I'll be back.
Okay, let's see. Is Ecstatics a comedy book? Ecstatics, it's got some comedic value in there for sure. I wouldn't necessarily call it a comedy book. It's more, I guess, maybe a dark humor book, but it's really kind of an exploration of the longevity of characters and like their lives and what the life would be like of a superhero. I don't know, it gives kind of some realism to it of killing off characters like around every corner, because in regular comics, you'll see horrible stuff happen to characters and they don't die. They come out of it somehow. Ecstatics, not so much. Let's see. Current X-Men runs worth reading in trades. I did just talk about the X-Men series, but I would recommend definitely picking up Old Man Logan, and that one's my current favorite. if you like Laura Kinney, 23, I pick up all new Wolverine, and then the main X-Men series right now is Extraordinary X-Men. If you like to read about them kind of going against the Inhumans, go ahead and pick that one up. Oh, hey, my wife is on.
Are you single? Well, are you, Riley?
No, I'm a married man.
Good answer.
Happily.
Very good answer, sir.
All right. Go ahead and pick a question.
Let me see. Opinion on King's Batman so far. We talked about that last week.
Yeah. There hasn't been a new issue since. Basically,
Yeah.
I think we both liked it. I thought the last issue was a little bit weaker, but the first arc was pretty cool.
Have you read JSA, Riley? Have you read it? The JSA Omnibus?
I'm assuming the ones that are somewhere behind me. I haven't gotten to read them yet.
Really? Wow, dude. Really?
Yeah, I've been putting it off. I don't know. I'm excited because it's a run that I've wanted to read for a while, but I just have not gotten to read it yet, unfortunately.
Oh, man, I recommend you do check it out. It's really fun stuff. I reviewed the first two. Megan,
I'll have to check out your reviews and see what you say about that.
your wife is off to go watch Narcos. Good show.
I haven't been watching it because that's one that she watches on her own. I guess it's her kind of like, I watch anime when I'm on my own. She watches Narcos.
Oh, man, Narcos is really good. I recommend you check it out. It's really good.
I'll have to do it at some point.
Yeah, me and my girlfriend, we've watched a little bit of Narcos, and we watched the first season of American Horror Story the other day. Really good.
I think that one is the only season I've seen entirely. And then my wife says the second season was like the best one. The third season has like a weak ending, and then after that, it's just reading.
My girlfriend says the same thing too. The second season is the best season. Then from there, third season was okay, and then what was it, Freak Show? She said she couldn't get into, and then Hotel, she said she didn't finish. Let's see. American Horror Story is so creepy. Your thoughts about Lemire's Thanos and Unworthy Thor? Jeff Lemire is not writing Unworthy Thor, is he?
No, it's going to be Jason Aaron, but he does have a Thanos ongoing series, I believe it is, coming out. So that should be pretty interesting.
Lemire's writing a Thanos series?
Yes, it was recently solicited. I think in the last solicits, it's been put out there that he's going to do an ongoing series focusing on the character. I don't know what it's going to be about at all. But it's an interesting thing because I don't think that Lemire has ever written any like series focused on villains. So unless I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. So that's going to be an interesting place for him to go. And then Unworthy Thor.
I've been enjoying all of Jason Aaron's Thor run so far.
Oh yeah, so good, and it's the type of series that like there's all these little things that are just weaving together into bigger things later on. I don't remember from last week. Did you read all of Jason Aaron's Wolverine stuff before?
I haven't even touched his Wolverine stuff.
Okay. So in his Wolverine stuff, like a bunch of the earlier things, it's like a single issue here, a short arc here, and then he had the like Weapon X series for 16 issues. So each of those story arcs like were very, very separate from each other.
Okay.
They were very separate stories that there was very little overlapping. But then after the first group of stories, he went forward into the ongoing series, and a bunch of those things started coming back. Characters started coming in, concepts, storylines, little things that he left in the past, like, you know, little dangling threads at the end of his storylines, all started coming together. And by the end of his run on everything, because it was Wolverine, the X-Men, and then his one story of Amazing X-Men, by the end of that, everything just ties together, and you have everything, not all at once, it's not like one big explosive finale, but you see everything come out, and everything that he did has a point, and every character that he introduced has a reason for being in that run. And he's doing the same thing with Thor. And it's even tying in stuff such as the characters that were in Original Sin, like Midas and the Dominatrix girl.
Dominatrix girl. Okay.
She was like wearing, like, I forgot her. It's Oubliette. I don't know how to pronounce her name, but she wears like leather and has like hair sticking out, and she has like lips, I think.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah. I can't remember the name either right now.
So she actually is playing a part in the Thor series, the Mighty Thor series right now.
Oh,
So it's like little things that he's introduced throughout his run on Thor, little things he's introduced in other things that he's been writing that featured Thor are all coming together. And that's, I'm really excited for the Unworthy Thor because I know that it's just going to tie in a lot more stuff and just add to the epic that he is constructing.
maybe it'll finally give us the answer of why he's not worthy anymore, right? I mean,
That's what I'm hoping for.
right, because that's been teased at for since Original Sin, and that was years ago.
Years now.
To the point where I think most fans are like, look, we just don't give a damn anymore. Whatever. I'm still personally curious of what it is. I think, crazy fan theory, I think it's because it has something to do with Jane Foster's cancer. That's what I think. I think that'll tie into it somehow. But I'm actually a little bit behind on his Thor run. I read all of his Thor, like the God Butcher arc and all that stuff. I read all that. Amazing. If you've never read God Butcher, with the exception of kind of like the Loki story that's in the middle there, that I felt it had to have been shoehorned because it came out the same time as the movie. Brilliant. The God Butcher arc is fantastic. And then I started reading his female Thor run, and that was good too. It was really good. It didn't quite hold my interest as much, but I've been wanting to go back and just read all of it now that it's all being collected in a nice hardcover.
Oh yeah, that most recent one collected a nice chunk of material. The one that was just titled Thor. Great series, and the current stuff is still ongoing. So whenever you do get to read it all together, I think you're really going to find yourself enjoying it.
I'm planning on it. I'm planning to go back and read all of it as just like a giant readathon. I'm going to sit down with all of Jason Aaron's Thor run and just read it because it really is just one giant story.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Somebody's asking, Ari Amir, I believe, going back a little bit. Hey, Amir, JSA gets ridiculously good? No, he had another question. Oh, he recommended if he wanted to know if we should read Saga or East of West.
Do you want something that's more of a slow burn with East of West, which is what Hickman does, leading towards what's obviously going to be a huge payoff in the end?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you want to read something that's a little more character-focused in Saga?
I would say start East of West, believe it or not. I actually think East of West is probably the best thing that Hickman is writing right now.
I think Saga is the easier book to read.
Yeah.
Because it's one that feels like every issue almost has some sort of payoff.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting good character moments out of every issue. But East of West, it's just so deep and broad, and all this world he's created is just so interesting that I think, like, I don't know, it can feel a little more rewarding to read East of West.
Yeah, I think and the thing for those of you out there that have never read East of West, you're gonna read the first issue and you're gonna go, I have no fucking clue what the fuck is going on or what I just read. Stick with it though. Stick with it because you're gonna get about 3 or 4 issues in and everything starts coming together and you're just gonna go, oh, this is what this story is about. Okay.
Let's see. What's another good question we got?
Do you find Golden Age material hard to read? A little bit. It can be a little bit prose heavy for me.
Yeah, and what you really have to realize here is that with the Golden Age comics, there's, these weren't comic book writers. They're just writers. Some of them are just copywriters who kind of got tossed in to writing comics. And as you go forward in the ages, Silver Age, these writers were inspired by what was happening in the Golden Age. The Bronze Age writers were inspired by what was happening in the Silver Age. So every age, they're really developing styles that are more suited to this medium in particular, rather than, just writing a novel but adding sequential art to it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the things that makes the Golden Age a little bit difficult to read, because they kind of don't expect that the reader is going to be able to follow along with a sequential story as well as people do now.
I agree with that. What do you think of Kevin Smith? What do you think is Kevin Smith's best run? I haven't read any Kevin Smith comics.
The best thing I've read from Kevin Smith is probably Green Arrow, but it might be one of the only things I've read from Kevin Smith.
Yeah, I've heard he's got a pretty good Daredevil run. Guardian Angel, Guardian Devil, something like that. And I've heard it's not bad.
Yeah, he did the first chunk of material on the series that Bendis wound up taking over.
Mm-hmm.
I think he did that with Joe Quesada.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe that's what he. And then he also did a mini series called Father, I think is what it was.
How was that?
Haven't read it.
I know he got a lot of hell, like for writing a Batman story where Batman was in like a fire and he peed himself.
Didn't read that one. I'm guessing it was either Widening Gyre or Cacophony, because those are the two Batman stories of his I'm familiar with.
I'm pretty sure it was Widening Gyre, where he's rescuing somebody from a burning building and then Batman urinates himself because it's so hot in the building.
Oh, man, is that a thing that happens?
It actually is. Believe it or not, it's something that happens to. Apparently, according to Smith, he's done research. According to Smith, and he's talked to firefighters where apparently it's so hot that apparently sometimes they pee themselves. I personally don't know, so I'm just going based off of what Smith has said.
Okay, and then thanks to Steve, who corrected me in saying that Father is just Joe Quesada. So I was wrong about that one. But yeah, I never knew that about it's like when you die, you poop yourself or something.
Harold Lauder, hardcover. Are you scared hackers will come after you since you revealed your name? Not really. I don't have anything now.
Man, you better be scared.
Have they really?
No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I mean, I've heard some stories of like some other YouTubers, like people have invaded their privacy and stuff. I'm like, yeah, okay. What do you want to do? You want to take over my student loans? By all means, take over that shit. You could have it. I'll give you the social right now. Because the debt is real right now. All right, guys, so I'm going to say probably another, what do you think, 10 minutes?
Yeah, I think we can hit it till about 8:30 my time.
Yeah, we've gone on pretty long today. So get your questions in. We got about another 10 minutes. Let's see. What did we pick up? Did you pick up anything from the Barnes & Noble sale?
I didn't, but I was seeing a lot of people posting horror stories about the packaging on those things.
Yeah.
So
that was a nightmare, man. You're talking about some bad stuff. It's weird because you'd see some people order the same things and they had a nice little book packaged inside a great box. It was covered in whatever they needed to cover it in. And then you just had some books that were just thrown in the box. Like they just didn't give a damn. It's really weird.
Or like in a simple like bubble wrap envelope that's like now torn up because the edges have like torn through.
Yeah, it's really, really weird how they do their package. It's not consistent at all.
No, it's boo-boo. It's definitely boo-boo.
Which is better, Omega Men or Vision? I'm going to say Omega Men.
Oh, man. I guess it's kind of hard to say since Vision hasn't ended yet.
Yeah.
Omega Men is so good.
Did you finish reading it? I know we talked about it briefly last week.
I read it when it was coming out, actually. So I need to reread it because I want to read it in one go now.
Okay. How'd you feel about the ending? Heartbreaking, right?
Yeah. No, it's a really good ending. But with that, I want to see what he does for his ending on Vision because I think that series is kind of hitting me more in the heartstrings emotionally because it's more like close to home, I guess.
I haven't read it. I want to see it all collected into just one package.
Oh man, as soon as you get a chance, it is so freaking good. I'm sorry, I'm like freaking out about this book, but like he just does such good stuff. So good. Like the idea basically, Vision decided before the series has started that he wanted to create his own family. And so he makes himself a wife, he makes himself a couple kids, and they're living just this suburban life. It's like, the perfect little life, and they send the kids to school, and the wife is at home while Vision goes out and works with the Avengers. And then, you know, obviously superheroes can't have a nice home life, so shit goes down. And it's not pretty. And you see like everyone that's ever been connected to Vision and the Vision family and characters who have like similar ties and powers with him, everyone comes into play. You see Scarlet Witch obviously comes into play. You see characters like Victor Mancha comes in there.
Cool.
Oh man, there's so many, like Wonder Man plays a role in there at one point. Like
Awesome.
all these characters come in that are have relation to Vision and the Vision like family and like Scarlet Witch and all that. And it's so good. And issue I think 7 is probably one of the best single issues of the year.
Really?
Yeah, it's just a really great look at the character and his past in the Marvel Universe and everything that he's done as a Avenger and his place in the Marvel Universe. Like, holy crap.
I've
So
been
good.
wanting to, man. I've been wanting to sit down with it. So it's kind of in a way, it's an examination of the humanity of the character, I'm assuming, and
Yeah.
what it would be like if he wanted to start his own family, you know. I've heard amazing things of it. I'm really, really curious to dive into it. I've heard the art is also great.
Yeah. Gabriel Hernandez Walta,
Mm-hmm.
he's doing the art there. He also did Magneto with Cullen Bunn before this, and he had a short run on Astonishing X-Men as well as some other stuff. And he just gets better and better and better as time progresses with his artwork. And it's very different. It's a very different art style, but it works for this story perfectly.
Right. I've heard great things. Somebody's asking us, do we think the BPRD omnibuses will get reprinted?
I don't know. Dark Horse has been Dark Horse pretty good with reprinting their stuff, especially keeping like the Hellboy library editions in print. But they haven't reprinted those hardcovers of BPRD, so I'm wondering if they're just calling it a day with the paperbacks. But they are going to release eventually Hell on Earth hardcovers.
They've said that, yeah.
They've mentioned that several times that that's going to be coming out pretty soon. They're going to start putting those.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if maybe just so people can keep things consistent, they might start re-releasing the Plague of Frogs, because a lot of people have those obsessive tendencies to have everything in the same format. And if they only have the Plague of Frogs paperbacks, I know a lot of people won't want to get the hardcovers for Hell on Earth. So those hardcover sales are going to suffer a little bit as people are waiting for the trade paperback instead.
Right. I have all of the hardcovers, and I have all the basically anything in the Hellboy universe at this point. I am all cut up. I'm talking about everything that ties into Hellboy. I've caught up and read. I am a madman and obsessed with that universe. I've bought everything, and I'm telling you right now, the minute that they announced a Hellboy, a BPRD Hell on Earth hardcover, I'm selling everything, and I am getting those hardcovers because I have Plague of Frogs and hardcovers, and I think it'll look amazing having the entire set from 1946 all the way to Hell on Earth, all the way to whatever comes next.
And those hardcovers are all freaking nice looking too.
Oh,
they're so good looking. And then I think they teased they were going to do some of the other series like Abe Sapien. We're going to get premium format releases. So I'm looking forward to that.
Are they? Have they said something about Abe Sapien?
I think someone put it on Twitter recently. Like someone asked someone at Dark Horse, and they said, or there was a comment somewhere that Dark Horse replied to, where they mentioned that there were plans to eventually do some of the other titles like Abe Sapien. There's no dates, of course, but it's in the works.
Okay. All right. I would say about 3 more minutes, guys. I want to get some sleep because I've been running on fumes, and I've gotten 8 hours of sleep probably in the last like 3 nights. So get them in real quick. We'll get with like one more question. How's that sound?
Well, Harold's asking us if we can dab.
I cannot dab. Can you?
I don't know. I've gotten pretty good at the.
Oh my god, that is great. That caught me off guard completely. Holy shit. Dick's out for dabs.
Oh man. And my t-shirt's actually a Tabasco sauce t-shirt. I forgot to tell you this, but I wore this because you were talking about that hot sauce. You sent me the picture of the hot sauce earlier, and I was gonna be like,
oh, yeah.
hot sauce bros.
Hot sauce, bro. Hold on one sec. Guys, it came out. The hot sauce came out. Holy shit. Hold on.
Because someone asked us a question about our favorite hot sauce last week. I believe is what we got on the topic for.
Okay, so for those of you that are wondering, last week on the stream, we had a question that said, what's our favorite hot sauce? And I mentioned to Riley that it's Berman's Asian kick sauce. However, it's only season one. I wrote a letter to the people at Berman's asking them when the sauce will come out. I got a call today from Aldi. I bought 3 bottles of it today. Oh
Hell
my
yeah.
god. There's 1, there's 2. I bought 3 bottles of the hot sauce today just so I don't run out because it's seasonal. I am ready for this shit.
Oh my god, that's so awesome.
I had to have it, man. I saw it's kind of sad though that Aldi called me. I don't know what that says about me though as a person. Oh my god. All right, so on that note, I think we can end this stream. We've been going on for about an hour and a half.
Getting into a lot of different stuff now, but it's always fun to kind of shoot the shit and talk about the random stuff too.
I support Little Caesar. Yeah, Domino's.
Domino's is fantastic, but Little Caesars is so cheap that I'm like, yeah, I'll get a Little Caesars right now.
There's nothing wrong with CC's either. If you want to just grab something real quick like a buffet.
Oh yeah. All right, guys. Well, this has been a really fun time again, and I hope you guys enjoyed this second live stream. We do plan on doing this for the foreseeable future, I guess, going back and forth between our channels. So next week, you'll be hosting it again.
Yes, I will. And like we said, we are planning on bringing in some other guests and things like that. We're just kind of right now getting the format down. We're getting everything down packed and seeing how exactly this is going to work. So bear with us in the next few weeks. I have plans on asking other people, and I'm sure Riley as well.
I actually have a couple buddies who have said that they'd like to be on with us. Oh,
awesome, man. Awesome. I want to get the Omni Dog in here, though.
Oh, yeah. That would be – that's the dream. That's our biggest goal.
He is my, like, celebrity that I want to get on here. Although I'm going to be disappointed if he's not a dog.
Yeah, I got to say.
People are asking if I'm going to do a Sunday stream. Probably not. I think I'm just going to limit the streams to once a week, but you never know. You really never know on my channel. All right, so that'll be it. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you guys so much for watching this out, for watching this. And yeah.
Yeah, you guys take it easy, and we'll see you soon. Hopefully I can get a video up before next week's live stream and break my curse of never making videos.
All right, good night.
All right, good night, guys. All right, so I just closed it out. Is that good?
Oh, we're still live, I think. Still live.
Oh no. Still awkward. I don't even know how to do my live stream properly. Jane, stop this crazy thing. How do I stop the live stream? You guys got to help me here.
I forgot. I mean, I have to see it in front of my screen in order to do it. There should be a little button at the bottom. See, this is what you guys get to see. We're still working everything out.
This is the extra bonus features here. The outtakes and stuff.
Riley, just hang up the call. Pull the plug. Do it like that.
Is that going to stop the stream, or am I going to be here by myself?
I have no clue.
Oh, here it says stop broadcast. All right, guys. Y'all have a good night.
Have a good night.